So we are going to start in a wide seated position today. And as always, make sure that this is appropriate for your body. When you extend the legs out, you want them to be just a wide position, getting the hips ready for this hip opening work we're going to do. But if you get there and your body says, no way, try bringing the feet a little closer together. And then the other thing you can do is prop the knees. So if your knees or hamstrings feel really tight, you can use blankets or blocks to just place behind the knees and keep that soft bend. So find a place that feels good for you. We're going to be in centering for a few minutes. So if you are already cringing up at the thought of being in this position, make it comfortable so you can sustain a few minutes. All right, getting settled, getting situated. Your first few breaths, just bring some awareness into your body, out of your day. Good. Continue to breathe here in centering. I'm going to do one thing. All right. And then we'll start to deepen the breath. So nice, slow inhale through the nose, making it slower, maybe adding a pause at the end of your inhale. Nice, slow exhale out through the nose. As you start to soften the thoughts racing through the mind from your day, you might start to notice how the body feels different in this position, since we don't normally start class like this. And anything you can observe about that is just you being in tune with your body. So there's nothing right or wrong you're looking for. It's just noticing. If you do notice that your back is a little bit more rounded, see if you can draw the shoulders back and down, lengthening the torso, just making the breath more full. At the end of that last complete exhale, we'll draw the chin all the way to the chest. Good. Gently roll one ear towards the shoulder. Pause. Notice how that feels. Exhale. We'll come back to center. Over to the other side. And continue to move the head and neck any way that helps you open up, release that heaviness we carry on the back of our shoulders, on the back of the neck. Good. If you did spend some time today looking at a screen, it's really nice to take the head back and just reverse that forward leaning movement of the weight of the head. If it doesn't feel enjoyable or welcome to the body, then don't do it. But it should feel like a nice release. Hopefully it does. We'll take one or two more breaths here. And then slowly bringing the head back to center. You can start to blink the eyes open. Big roll of the shoulders brings your awareness back to your space. Good. Gently gather the legs in. So we're going to just hold behind the knee and bring the legs to center. And we're going to come into fire logs pose. So first, if this isn't appropriate for your hips, you're going to be in regular Sukhasana, shins crossed, knees about the height of the hips or lower. So that's our traditional centering pose. If you want to go a little further, you're going to let's take the right shin above the left first. And you're going to stack the ankle over the knee, and then the other knee over the ankle, thinking of your two shins as fire logs, one on top of the other. Good. There may be a big space between your top knee and the bottom ankle. That's perfectly normal. You're just going to gently guide that knee closer to the ankle any amount. And then we sit up nice and tall. Good. Check in on the shoulders and neck, and we're going to start to create some circles. So this is going to feel a little intense in that top hip. If your right shin's on top, it'll be the right hip that intensity is building in. So we're only in that forward leaning movement for a moment. If you're feeling any of this in your knees, try flexing the feet and of course coming out of the pose if that doesn't feel quite right. We'll take our circles in the other direction. So you're really just rocking around, leaning forward, leaning back. Notice what's happening in the belly. Good. All right, pause. We'll come back to center. Sit up nice and tall again. And then we're going to bring one hand down towards the floor, come into a little side bend. Doesn't matter which one first. You can look up towards that top elbow, look down, find a little extra space, push that top knee down a little closer to the inner ankle. And then inhale, come back to center. Just go over to the opposite side, the one you haven't done yet. Good. Lengthen, create space, and then deepen. So deepen in the upper body, and then let that stretch down into the lower body. Good. Take one more inhale. Then we'll come back to center. Good. Lean back, and then we're going to switch the cross of the leg. So if you were in Sukhasana, you're just going to bring the opposite shin in front. If you were in that fire logs pose, you're going to bring the opposite shin on top. If you're following along, we're doing the left next. So left shin on top. It's very common for one side to be drastically more flexible than the other. So that's very normal. Start to just gently guide that knee down. Roll the shoulders back. Take a few deep breaths. Just check in and see how this feels. And then we'll start our circles when you're ready. So we create that stable base, finding balance, and then we move around. So you might feel this a little bit in the low back. A lot of our hip opening work allows space for the low back. We'll talk about that more throughout class. One more, and then reverse your circles in the opposite direction. Good. Make sure you're keeping the back long. So you're rounded a little bit when you lean back, but we don't want to stay rounded when we come forward. See if you can lengthen the chest a little bit forward. Good. Last one here. Pause. Good. Sit up nice and tall, and then we'll come into our side bends once more. Hand comes down, reach that top arm up and over. Good. Stretch, create space. Relax the muscles of the face. Inhale here, and exhale. We'll come back to center, over to the other side. Good. Create space and deepen. Good. One more. And then all the way up. Good. All right. When you're ready, we're going to come up to a tabletop position. We'll be here for a few moments on the knees. So if you'd like to use your blanket to spread out extra cushion or grab a blanket to support the knees, feel free to do that. All right, starting off in our tabletop position, we're going to keep that circular movement and come into some hip circles. So we'll bring the hips to the back, right heel, and then we're going to swing them behind, all the way over to the left side, and then back and to the right. Good. Keep moving in that same direction about 4 more times. The more the hips kind of fall off to the sides, here off to the side of the mat, the more of a stretch you're going to get in those outer hips, which is going to come in handy later. You might already be feeling them from our first few stretches. Good. One more here. And then when those hips sit back towards the left heel, we'll just reverse our circles. And it's really common here to have some snap, crackle, pops. That's the professional term for it. In the knees, in the wrists, in the ankles. This just helps work all that out. Good. As long as nothing bothers you, it's perfectly fine for it to make a noise. One more. And back to center. Good. Nice strong tabletop position. And here we'll create that stability. So we push down into the hands, bend the elbows, and then straighten them out. Good. Draw the belly button in. Low back is nice and flat. Find strength and stability first. And then we're going to take the right leg back behind us. Good. We're going to take about 3 draws in with the knee. So we inhale, lengthen forward without letting the belly drop. Exhale, draw the belly button in and bring the knee to center. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw in. And 1 more. Exhale, draw in. From here, we're going to really round the spine, push into the hands, and step the right foot forward. Good. If it doesn't land where you want it to, grab it with the hand and wiggle it the rest of the way there. Good. Blocks might be helpful here for the hands. No worries if you don't have them handy, but if you do, feel free to grab them. And then we're going to start to shift forward into a lunge. So the idea here is that we don't let our knee shoot past the ankle. We want to keep it right over our ankle. At the same time, we want to keep scooping the tailbone under, getting an opening on the front of the hip. Good. We'll roll the shoulders back and down. And then we're going to sit back into a half split, straightening the front leg, lifting the front toes, and letting the hips go back. So my front toes are lifted, flexing that foot. Keep the spine long. Inhale. And then you can exhale, fold a little bit. If you need more support, slide your blocks or hands back closer to you. Good. This front leg doesn't need to straighten all the way. We'll take 1 more breath. Notice where you feel that. Might be in the hamstring, might be in the low back. And then we'll slowly come back up. Good. Take that right leg out to the side and swing it back. Good. Slide your blocks out of the way just for that tabletop position. So if that knee coming through was really challenging, blocks might help, but it gives us a little more stability to have the hands on the floor. So choose which one is good for you. We'll inhale, lengthen. Left foot goes back. Inhale again. And exhale, draw knee to nose, rounding the spine. Separate the shoulder blades, chin to chest. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw in. Good. 1 more. And then step that foot as close as you can get it. Toe heel it the rest of the way there, or place it with your hand. Grab your block. Start to deepen into your lunge. Good. Nice, strong support through that left foot. Scoop the tailbone under. And then roll the shoulders back. Try to get length, lifting the torso up just a little bit. Take 2 more breaths here. Find that space. And when you're ready, we'll shift back, straighten out the front leg, lift the toes. Good. Pull the heart forward, lift the chest up, draw the belly in. That'll give you a little bit more space. And then you can round over that front leg. Good. Last full inhale. And then exhale. We'll shift all the way forward. Good. All right, swing that leg to the side. Block comes to center and bring it back. All right, we'll sit on the heels for just a moment, check in, see how that all feels. And then we're going to come up to stand next. We're going to be facing the wide edge of your mat. If you choose to use blocks, then you can have them out in front of you. Blanket can go out of the way for a moment. All right, so as you get there, we're going to do a few warm-ups in our standing poses, kind of go over what those movements are going to look like. We'll start by stepping wide. So the way we measure how far to step is to reach the hands out and step or hop the feet to that width of the hands. Good. If you have your video on and you're watching yourself, You could use that or a mirror. Otherwise, just kind of gauge, look side to side, and see how that feels. All right. Take a big inhale. We're going to bring the hands down to the hips, and we're going to fold only about halfway, keeping the spine long, noticing if your knees want to bend. Try to keep the legs straight, and pause when you get halfway down. Good. If you'd like to bring blocks under the hands, you can do that, or you can keep the hands on the hips. We're going to breathe here. And the important part of what we're focusing on is what happens when we come back up. I want you to focus on keeping the legs straight, drawing the inner thighs together, and pushing through the heels as you lift back up. Good, nice job. We're going to try that a few more times. So we inhale here, exhale, fold about halfway. Inhale again, straight legs. Exhale, push through the feet, keep the spine long as you rise back up. Use that strength in the legs. One more. Inhale. Exhale, hinging at the hips, right at the top of the thighs, not the waist. Push through the feet. Inhale. Exhale, draws us back up. Good. Change your stance into goddess pose. So we're going to turn the heels in and the toes out with a bend in the knees. All right, here we're going to gather our hands together down at the base of the spine. And in Tai Chi, they say you want to imagine you're holding the energy of the sun. So you're holding something powerful, heavy, that it's kind of providing some resistance to you. So we're going to inhale here. Exhale, sink a little bit lower. And then our next inhale, we start to reach that ball of light, that imaginary thing, whatever it is you are holding, reach it all the way up. And then exhale, we draw back down. Good, gathering at the base of the spine. And then we inhale, reach up. Good, so these are quick movements or quicker movements, not static holds. So really see if you can get that depth in your goddess pose. Knees are going to track over the toes. We gather in. And then we draw up, belly pulls in, chest lifts as you lift those hands. So it's almost like a little body scan as the hands pass over the spine. Last two here. Get nice and low. We're going to try to hold this goddess pose for just a moment. Good. Gather the hands together. Get that tailbone tucking under, knees pulling back. Smile. And then reach it back up. Good. All right, keep the toes pointed out to the side. And then we're going to start to get a little twist for a side lunge. So bend the left knee, reach the right hand all the way down towards it. And then we inhale, come back up. Exhale, bend the right knee and reach the left hand down. So we just start to alternate side to side. Inhale when you come up. Exhale as you reach down and twist. Really focus on wringing out the belly. Good. If you want to even look towards the hand that's going behind you, that'll give you more of a twist. About three more. Last one here. Come all the way up. Good. Without bringing the hands down, see if you can pop the heels wide, getting the feet in line with the outer edges of the mat. And then we're going to bring the hands to the hips and slowly fold once again. Good. This time, see if you can come a little bit lower. So maybe your hands will come down towards the floor, or you can just lower the level of the blocks. And we're going to come into a nice deep twist, walking the hands all the way over to one foot. You can hold on the outer edge of the foot, the ankle, the calf. Hands can be on the inside, wherever suits you. Notice if you're bending the knee you're turning away from. See if you can straighten it back out. Let the head relax. And then come back up through center, over to the other side. Good. And then inhale back up to center. Good. Same idea. We'll push through those feet. Heels are heavy, drawing in through the belly, hands to hips, and rise back up. Good. Nice job. All right. Toe heel those feet together or a nice big hop brings you back to center. All right. Let's come into our eagle pose next. So this is more of a stabilizing movement, drawing in through the outer hips. If you'd like to have a block, you'll bring the block to the outer edge of the left foot. So it would look like this. If you don't want to use a block, you just don't have to have it there. Okay. All right, we'll start off with the feet as close together as feels comfortable for you, hands on the hips, and we'll sit the hips back. All right, we're going to take that right leg, lift it up onto the toe, keeping the left knee bent. We're going to rotate that knee over the other, twist that knee over the other, and then again, you can bring the toe to the block, or you can bring the toe to the floor, or you might just draw the ankle towards the outside of the calf. Good, check in and see how this feels for you. Keep the knees bent, hips sitting back, drawing in through the belly to lift the chest. Option to add the arms. You would do opposite arm on top. So left arm crossed over right. Twist that up. Lift the elbows. Slide the shoulder blades down and back. And breathe. Good. One more here. Sink down a little bit lower. And then inhale. We'll reach up with the hands, step the feet out, and come all the way back up to stand. Good. Let's try the other side. So bring those feet together. If you're using a block, you'll bring it to the outside of the right foot this time. Sit the hips back, bend the knees. So you're almost in a chair pose, and that keeps the standing knee bent. We never want to be here straightened with a knee straightened out. All right, from here, we lift that outer left leg, cross it over. Think about squeezing the top of the thighs together right there by the groin, and then weaving the legs into place instead of just crossing over the knee only. Good. Sink those hips down. Keep the chest lifted, core engaged. And then hands out to the side. We'll do right over left this time, since the legs are left over right. Good. Breathe here. Find a non-moving point on the floor or wall in front of you. Soft gaze past the wrists. Notice the tendency as you're weaving everything together to tighten up the breath. Keep the breath full and fluid. About 2 or 3 more breaths. Last one. We'll reach those arms up and step those feet out. Good. All right. Blocks can go either to the front of the mat or to the side where we had them before from our forward fold. And we are going to start our flow from the side of the mat. So just like we did a moment ago for those warm-up poses, we'll bring the hands up. Inhale, reach the hands out. Exhale, step the feet out. Good. Inhale, reaches the arms up. Push the hips just slightly forward. Create a nice big opening. Exhale, swan dive all the way down. Good. A little different today. Notice how that plays around with the mind. Inhale, pull the heart forward. Exhale, fold. Let the head hang. Good. Inhale, we're going to take the right toes out. Left heel swings open slightly. Set up the feet for warrior 2. Hands to the hips as you rise up. Check in on your balance and then lift the hands. Good. Hopefully you've stepped those feet into a nice wide stance in that wide forward fold. But if not, here's your chance to wiggle them out and create more space. Good. We'll take 2 or 3 more full breaths. Maybe deepening, bringing that right thigh closer to the floor. Last one. And then elbow to knee, left hand sweeps up and over for side angle pose. Good, feel free to stay here, but But notice if you're kind of straightening the right bottom bent leg and the hips are sticking up, see if you can bring the back of the right hip closer to the floor. Good. Yeah, you'll feel it more. That's the point. Take one more big inhale. Keep reaching. And then exhale, pivot both hands down towards the floor. This is where you can use your blocks if you'd like. We'll pivot the back heel up into our lunge. Inhale, lift the chest, pull the heart forward. Get that nice lengthened position, opening up the front of the left thigh. If you need to, you can even bend that left knee a little bit. Warning, it makes the front of the thigh stretch even more intense, that quad stretch more intense. And then we're going to lift it back up, straighten out the front leg, lift the toes into your half split. You can walk the blocks back or change the level of the blocks. Good. So we did this already, but the back knee was down. This time the back knee is lifted. We'll inhale here. Exhale all the way. See if you can draw chin to chest, deepening slightly. Good. Inhale, we'll come forward back into that lunge. Roll the shoulders back and down. Bend the back knee a little deeper this time and see if you can lift the hands to reach behind you. Good, nice job. Really stabilizing those hips, getting that work. Inhale here. Exhale, hands come down and half split. Toes lifting on the half split is not required, but you can if you want. Inhale again. We'll come back to that lunge. Good, back knee bent. Roll the shoulders back, nice long spine. Hands can go back behind you, or you can try to lift them straight up. If balance is off, hands out to the side is helpful, or straight up. Nice job. Breathe here for 3, 2, and 1. Hands come back down. Good, straighten out to that half split. Once again, pull the toes in, chin to chest, rounding the spine. And then we'll slowly deepen into our lizard pose. Toe heel the right foot to the edge of the mat. Good. Hands are, so that across the front of your mat, it's hand, hand, foot instead of hand, foot, hand. That makes sense. Deepen so that that right knee comes to the outside of the elbow. Dropping the hips down nice and low. And we're starting with a stabilizing, so you may have noticed that a lot of these hip openers are really to strengthen first, and then we can let that flexibility happen. So we want to hug our right knee towards the outside of the elbow. And yes, it's not going to want to go there, but see if you can make it happen. Good. Take one more inhale. Lengthening here. Push the left heel back. Hug your right knee in. And then we'll lower the left knee down. Good. If you want to come a little lower, you can come to the forearms on those blocks. And then you can also stay where you are. I'm just going to show you the difference. You can take that right knee to fall open. So instead of it staying up, hugged into the arm, you'd let it kind of fall open. You can turn the toes too. All right. Breathe where you are. That back knee is on the floor. If you need your cushion, grab your blanket, get some support. So anything goes here in the sense of lizard pose, whatever you need to get through it. A little movement side to side. Position the right foot to support your knee. So you shouldn't feel any pain in that right knee. Good. And hip openers are that conversation, the difference between discomfort and pain. So they might be uncomfortable, but we should still be able to breathe through them. That's our distinction. Good. All right, take an inhale where you are. We'll lift about halfway up. Good. From here, we're going to start to toe heel this right foot across the mat. So I'm going to move my blocks out of the way so you can see it. I'm traveling my right foot all the way across the mat so I can lay my knee down into pigeon pose. Okay. Use your blocks to support. Lay that right knee down. Good. So you can be on the right hip in more of a mermaid shape. This front of this left hip is lifted. You can tuck this leg in or keep it out in front. But wherever you choose to be, once you get into that position, we're going to lift back up. So push into those hands, lift up, square the hips, get grounded, and then walk the hands forward. Bring your blocks with you, use what you need, and we're going to breathe here. So here's where we let all that space happen. We've been stabilizing, we've been drawing in, warming up, and here's where we enjoy all that goodness. Good. If you're really struggling to find ease in the pose, that may mean you need to shift. Otherwise, bring your forehead to something. Sometimes that'll just send a little message to the body to let go. Soften shoulders, soften the muscles of the face. Notice what you're clenching onto. Nice job. About 3 more full breaths. Try to create a pause at the end of your inhale and a pause at the end of your exhale. When you're ready, we'll slowly walk the hands back up. Tuck the back toe under. Slide your right leg back into table. Check in on those hips. And then we'll make our way into downward facing dog. This pose gives us some space here. Bend the knees, straighten them. Do whatever you need to open up and check in. Maybe notice that sensation. Right side different than left side. Good. Next time you inhale, we're going to come all the way forward, either plank or knee down plank, whichever you choose. Hold for a nice long breath and then lower down towards the floor. You can choose to move through chaturanga or just lower and land, hopefully landing softly. And then we're going to come into 3 opening back bends. So really open up the front of the hips here. Bring the fingertips to the outside, nice and wide. And we're going to take a nice big inhale, peeling the chest off the floor, lifting up as far as you can go, maybe looking up. And then exhale brings us back down. 2 more just like that. Inhale peels us up. Exhale, lower back down. 1 more. Hands slide under the shoulders. Push all the way back to child's pose. One more full breath. And then slowly walk those fingertips back. Roll up nice and slow. You can come up into a narrow squat position if that feels comfortable for you. Check in on your balance. And then when you're ready, we'll come all the way up to stand. Good. Shoulders come back and down. All right. Let's go ahead and try the other side. So we'll start off facing the wide edge of the mat. Not sure what's going on here with my camera. Okay. All right. Roll those shoulders back and down. Hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Step wide. Inhale. Lengthen up. Reach up. Push those hips forward. Exhale, swan dive all the way down. Inhale brings you about halfway up. Lengthen the chest, pull those hips back, and then exhale, fold deeper. Good. From here, left toes point out. Right heel swings open just a little bit. Check in on your stance, hands to hips, and rise up. Good. Check in on your balance next. And once you feel steady in your balance, you can widen your stance or just bring your arms up. Reach out through the fingertips, find that length. And rooting down. And once you feel connected and draw like you're drawing down, then we can start to create that lift and rise up, creating more space. So it's not just all about reaching up, getting further away from the floor. There has to be that connection with our foundation. Okay. One more full breath here. Nice job. We'll exhale, elbow to knee. And then sweep that top arm up and over. Again, check in. Are you letting those hips lift to get out of that hip? See if you can really bring it down. Good. Getting nice and deep. Outer edge of that back foot is still grounded. Rotate through the shoulders. Find that steady breath. As we say often, the pose starts when your body wants to leave it. So go just slightly past that point. One more inhale. And exhale, we'll pivot down towards the floor. Good. As the hands come down, we'll lift that back heel up. Good. Grab your blocks. Inhale, pull forward, create space. Exhale, we'll straighten the front leg, lift the toes, find your half split. Inhale, pull forward. Find that nice deep lunge, back heel lifted. Good. You might have a slight bend in that back knee to find stability. And then reach the hands back. Good. Notice what happens in that front leg. Inhale here. Exhale, shift back, half split. And then inhale forward once again. Find that nice deep lunge. Back knee might be slightly more bent. And then reach up, out to the side, wherever those arms need to be. And hold for 3, 2, 1. Approaching whatever your body is choosing to do or not do with kindness and acceptance. Good. Find that half split position. One more big inhale. Exhale all the way. We'll come forward, find your lunge, and then bring that left arm to the inside of your foot, toe heel the left foot out to the side. Naturally, that will bring the hips just slightly lower. You can choose to have the arms in any position, but we're continuing to hug your knee to the outer left elbow. Good. If you come down to the elbows, notice the tendency for that knee to fall open. Don't bring that back knee down yet. Good. Take a few more breaths, drawing in, stabilizing. The low belly is engaged. Our back is lengthening. And then we'll bring that right knee all the way down. Let your left knee open. Again, that might bring you deeper towards the floor. Make sure you're protecting the left knee. That's the knee that's falling open out to the side. Flexing the foot can help protect that knee. If your back knee right here needs some extra support, grab a blanket, slide it under. Good, nice job. Find some space here. Just like our fire log pose in the beginning of class, it's not uncommon for us to find more opening on one side than the other, more tightness on one side than the other. We'll take another inhale. Exhale all the way. Let's come up about halfway. Use those blocks to support if you have them. And we're going to start to toe heel the foot across the mat. Good. Bring it all the way over. And then go ahead and lay that knee down. Coming to the outer hip if you choose. Set up. Do what you need. So for less intensity, this leg is going to tuck under. Good. Almost pointing to the back of the mat. For more intensity, you're going to bring the shin parallel to the front of the mat. Somewhere in between is great too. Hands can come down, push into those blocks, and then lift those hips up. Good. Get the hips into a line. So we don't want to keep that hip sinking down. You can also use some support with your block or a blanket under that lifted left hip. Good. That always creates a little bit more ease. Inhale, we'll lengthen. Exhale, walk those fingertips forward. And just as we did on the other side, notice what you're holding on to. Sometimes with these big, deep stretches, they can keep us kind of clenching on to things we no longer need. Negative emotions, frustrated feelings, pain. Sometimes there's deeper things under that tightness of the muscles that we can let go of. Find that soft, steady inhale and exhale, using that as a measure of how the pose is sustainable, or if you can barely breathe, then do a little less. Come out of it, pause, reset. Great job. About 3 more full breaths. Maybe add a pause at the end of the inhale and exhale. From here, we'll slowly slide the hands back under the shoulders. Lift yourself up enough to slide your right knee in. Left foot back. Check in your tabletop position before coming into downward facing dog. And then when you get there, just find the space that you need. If child's pose seems more appropriate right now, feel free to try that. Take a nice big sigh, let out whatever you no longer need. We'll inhale forward into our plank, knee down plank or full plank for 3, 2, 1, and then lower all the way down towards the floor. Good, nice job. Make those hands really wide. And this time, instead of coming up into that peel pose, like we're peeling off the floor, we're going to come up into a seal pose. So the feet are wide, almost to the sides of the mat, top of the feet down. And then the hands are wide, kind of on a diagonal of the top corners of the mat. We're going to start with the hands pretty far away from the shoulders. So my wrist is about a foot or more away from my shoulder. I'm going to push into the hands, peel the chest up, and check in here. Good. So the first place we're checking in is, of course, with the low back. This should feel like an opening for the front of the hips. The top of the feet are down. Taking a nice big inhale. Good. Feel free to stay here if this is good and you don't want to go any further. If you want a little bit more, You're going to lower down, slide the hands in about 1 handprint. So maybe they're more closer to 6 inches within the shoulders, my wrists are. And then we're going to push back up. Good. Again, checking in on the low back. So you're going to feel something, but it shouldn't be any pressure in the low back. Good. Shoulders are away from the ears. So if you're shrugging those shoulders up, push into the hands and feel the chest move forward of the shoulders. Good. Again, stay here for another breath. Or lower down, slide those hands right close to the armpits and push up. Fingers are still pointed on a diagonal. Front of the hips might start to lift shoulders away from the ears, and top of the feet are down. We'll take 3, 2, and 1. And then lower all the way back down, push into your child's pose. Good. We'll roll the shoulders back and down. You can soften towards the floor. Take one more full breath. And then we'll roll up nice and slow just to a kneeling position. Roll the shoulders back and down. All right. We'll go ahead and come onto our back. Have a block close by. If you don't have a block at home with you, a rolled blanket will be perfect. But just make sure it's within an arm's reach. Anything else you want for our final relaxation, you might want to have within arm's reach too, so you don't have to get up completely off your mat. All right. So we're going to come into a bridge pose, and then we'll come back up for one more seated posture to finish it out. So our bridge pose is going to look like this today. We will use the support from a block or a rolled blanket on the sacrum, that flat part of the low back. So I'll talk you through it, and I'll show you some options if you don't have a block. We'll start off with just letting the legs windshield wiper side to side. Make sure the low back's feeling okay from that back bend we just did. And then we'll pull the knees into the chest, just circle the low back down. And here we want to find the sacrum. So the sacrum is the flat part of the lower back between the tailbone and where the top of your pants would be. So you might start to feel it. It's kind of like a large bone shape. You can probably feel it as you roll those hips around. And that is what we want in contact with the block. Bring the feet down, walk the heels as close into the hips as possible. And then we're going to lift our hips up, slide the block under, and then bring the hips back down. Make sure that's comfortable. So some of the things you look for is, again, it is between the tailbone and the top of your pants. It's not way up here. That is not, and the tailbone's hanging off. That's not what we want. Feel free to stay there. If you do not have a block, you'll just use a rolled blanket. So you can roll up a blanket even more than just for seated. Slide it under the sacrum, and same idea. Good. Find either the first or second level, whatever is appropriate for you. So we try not to do that skyscraper position unless we work up into it. But this would be the second, where the kind of, we call those different levels of the block. The flattest side would be 1. The second largest surface area would be 2. And then that smallest surface area would be 3. Good. As you get there, slide the shoulder blades under the back. Palms face up. Start to feel that ease washing over the body just by having the hips higher than the heart. And then from this position, we'll begin to deepen. What that looks like is taking the left leg out nice and slow first. And again, after the practice that we've done, I want you to be really, really careful for your low back. If at any point you find any discomfort, you're going to bring the leg back in right to this position. All right, we'll start by taking the left leg out. Just nice and slow, walking it out. When you get to that lengthened position, see what it feels like to pull the toes in and then let the toes fall open. Kind of playing around between those two. And the whole time we're making sure this is appropriate for the back of the body. And then we're going to walk that left foot back in and try the same thing on the other side. So we move nice and slow and intentional. Good. Flex the foot. Let the foot fall open. Try those two. This is an amazing pose for the front of the hips, an area that can get really tight if we're sitting at a desk or on the couch or in the car a lot. And it is one of the best things to work on if you have low back pain. It seems kind of counterintuitive. Walk that right foot back in because it's on the front of the body, but it can really relieve a lot of that low back tightness. If both of those legs felt comfortable and you're ready to do both at the same time, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you'll stay in this position. Find that place, happy place, whether the feet are flexed or falling open. The hands are out to the side, and you're just letting the hips be at that highest point, whatever that looks like for you today. If at any point there's discomfort building, we'll just bend the knees and place the feet back on the floor. Last full and complete breath here. Stay for the complete exhale. And then we'll slowly begin to walk the feet in. Good. Get the feet as close as possible to support the body. Lift the hips up. Slide the block out and lower back down. Good. Check in here first. Let those legs go side to side. And then pull the knees in towards the chest. Good. For our last pose, we're going to roll to the side. Gently come up. Good. All right, we're going to bring the bottom of the feet together for a bound angle position. So I'll show you from the front, but you can be positioned however it feels best on your mat. From here, make a nice big diamond shape with the legs, letting the heels walk just a little further away from the hips. Hold onto the shins, and we're going to pull the heart forward. Let the elbows rest maybe on the knees or on the shins or thighs. And then slowly begin to bring yourself forward. Let the head relax. Shoulders can round, letting go. And just breathe some space into all those areas that worked in class today. Last full and complete breath. Feel free to sigh out. Slowly walking back up. Good. And we're going to keep the legs in this bound angle position for relaxation. So you can just roll back. Using our support, our blocks or blankets, pillows off the couch, whatever you have close by to support the outer knees. So you can have them way out to the side, or you might tuck them up to the outside of the thigh and then roll back when you're ready. As you get down there, You can cover up however you need. Place any support over the eyes, maybe a little roll blanket under the neck. Make sure the head's not lifted too high. And then we'll just soften towards the floor. Make sure the legs, the outer knees are supported by something. You can feel the bottom of the feet just gently placed against one another. And here in this position, we'll begin to take a quick body scan, noticing how we feel, acknowledging the body for the work that it's done. If the mind starts to go off into a story, a plan, get caught in that chain of one thought leads to another, just acknowledge that that's normal and bring your attention back to the physical body, back to your breath. Even letting the effort of the breath go, finding complete ease as you let go of all effort. Slowly inhale the breath back into the body. Allow for some gentle movement through the fingers and toes, rolling out wrists and ankles. As you're ready, bringing the knees together, feet on the floor, and then gently landing and rolling onto one side. Once again, taking an opportunity to acknowledge the work that your mind and body has done. Most importantly, just getting you to the mat in the first place sometimes can be the most challenging part. When you're ready, slowly and gently coming up to sit. You can gather hands at heart center in the lap, choosing what to carry into your week with you from your practice today, choosing what you can leave behind. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.